Happy that you are here. I'm so happy that you are contributing to the change. And we are here to have fun because it's all about life, it's all about knowledge. And when we learn, it's better done when we are having fun. So today I'm going to focus about the foundations really that brought us to be the change, right? And in the essence of walking through life, really I realized that we need to be building mentally wealthy relationships, life filled with so much fruit. So today I'll start by saying it's a very special day, a day that we are making history. A day we are making history. And we should be making history each and every day of our lives. It seems that in our human existence and being, we are called to solve what lies before us, right? When a child is born, I really love this analogy. When a child is born, arriving safely, whether in hospital, whether at home, someone is there to help the mother receive this child. It's a divine orchestration of God that He knew you needed someone else to birth life. So sometimes the situations or the conditions are not the same. Sometimes the father is there, sometimes it's not. But I believe it's divinely orchestrated as your raw materials. You find so many raw materials in South Africa that you may not necessarily find in Namibia, that you may not necessarily find in Ghana. But all these places are making the most with that resource. So if that is the case, it means whatever resource, mother, father, family, the foundational aspect that is divinely chosen without our contribution is what we really need to launch into life. So when a child arrives, the child must cry. Can you say must cry?
Must cry.
Because if this child does not cry, the doctors are alarmed that we have not received life. We search for it. We bash this child. We make sure we call it out of this child so that this child can do what?
Cry.
Which means crying is a raw material that exclaims to the world that life is still here and requires someone else to help it move so that there's comfort and it can progress. Cry. Basic building block that doctors will write down after having studied so many years. But they're looking for this one simple sign we take for granted. That pronounced to them, beyond the reasonable doubt, beyond the shadow of doubt, that life has come. What am I saying to you today? The moments of crying are not the end, really. They're announcing that you've come to life and this environment is not what you used to, but you need someone to help you get used to this life. Just like a child, we take them, we clean them, we clothe them, we wrap them, we give them back to someone, whether a mother, whether a caring nurse there, depending where you are really on earth. If you're in the rural area, they'll give to those old elderly mothers that help women give birth. Which means the foundational aspect that we had no contribution of is showing us that there must be connection. There must be a relationship. There must be a belonging that will ensure that this person will succeed in life. So the child grows, gets a name, we give everything. I normally say children arrive naked, but we dress them. We dress them with clothes, we dress them with words, we dress them with perceptions, we dress them with everything. We dress them with how we live our lives. They are getting dressed, they are carrying things and carrying things as they live life. That becomes part of what we are building onto this real raw material. Now there are certain temperatures that allow raw materials to become a certain thing which is treasured. How are you contributing to yourself first? That spoken word, those things you hear, whatever you see, which is being built up, whether as fire, whether as wood, whether as water, to tear you down or to build you up. I would wish really when it comes to our lives that also in the hospital settings, doctors will give us a list to say, as much as these are the milestones this child must have, these are the prerequisites for you to ensure that this child is growing. Speak life, teach them things, show them how to navigate complexities, show them how to navigate death because it's inevitable, show them how to be in a new environment they know nothing of and they need to thrive. I know in this world we speak so much about mental health, and it's become such a buzzword and a trend that I've come to learn when I really interact with people, whether it's through a hospital, through an experience, that our experiences outside of a mindset of building capacity and being well will make us fall short of what we want to do. We can have conversations, but if it's outside building and rebuilding, restructuring and reconstruction, we will really end up with only a concept of safe spaces. But the true essence of a safe space is conversations that are had, which are building our mental capacity, which are mentally building us to cause a change and to take actions. These safe spaces are for us to act. These safe spaces are for us to take action, not just to create them. They are a call to action. Otherwise, we are minimizing the work that God has already showed us we're supposed to be doing, which is the building blocks. I call them, it's factory settings, a community, a place, a cry, all those things. We let them go to waste because there's no action after. Once the child has cried, they do something. Once now they are there, something is done. We don't wait there and build camp there and say maybe this child needs to stay, unless otherwise this child still requires us here. And we don't prematurely push that child. But then I'll give you a contrast, mental health and mental wealth. Mental health, we all know it has to do with our thinking, our feelings, and our behaviors. More so, it is our ability to fight and resist situations and overcome them and succeed. But it seems as if when we talk about mental health, we have this mindset that comes upon us that it's about people who are weak, it's people who are shame. You know, we don't know what to do with you, we don't even know how to help you when it's not. But beyond mental health, there's something I really call mental wealth. Mental wealth really goes deeper, looking at the deeper divine orchestration of us as human beings. If mental health has to do with thinking, then mental wealth has to do with the deeper thoughts of how you make those decisions based on value, purpose, and destiny. That's wealth. Mental health and mental wealth. And beyond that, it's realizing that mental health really also encompasses our brain, which is the organ in our head which reasons and thinks, helps us to do this. And this is really seen. I remember I really loved how the brain worked when I worked in neurology, seeing patients with stroke, seeing patients with so many neurological diseases. This is where you see a person who may not be talking, but will show responses in the brain, which means beyond the brain, there's a mind which has a will and divine purpose that is fighting for this brain to recover. I remember this one particular person I had as a patient who really had a very bad stroke. The outcomes of health there were really bad. But we started asking the question, does he have a family? Does he have this? We were not asking education and all of that. We are asking factory settings, community, family. What does it have? Why do you think in hospitals we ask that? Why do you think when you get to a hospital they ask, what's your name? They're asking a history. Who do you stay with? Those are crucial things in moments of crisis. You know why? Because it tells that clinician that what has been poured initially in this person, before this person gets to this accident or whatever it is, what was being poured? What was the raw material? Now, we here in the hospital, how do we use that to help this person recover so that when they leave, we restore them to factory settings, to that foundational community that's going to help them get well? So, am I right to assume that wellness, wealth, is found in the factory settings that were originally given to us? Then it means it's calling us higher to a position where we need to intentionally fix those relationships. We can no longer be the generation #boundaries cutting you off. You are cutting off your own lifeline, your own factory setting. You are cutting it off. You are cutting it off. But of course, there are ways to do this, and you navigate just like how a child will drink milk, will then get puree, will then eat solid foods. The question is, how do you do that with your relationships? Whether currently they are broken, how do you restore the factory settings? Because should you go into a crisis and you go into the health setting, that doctor will take you back to that person you blocked. Where's your mom? She's not here. But beyond that, also, this shows us that we know we'll lose some people, whether through grief, through loss. But if we are not having conversations with the mindset to remember that this is wealth that we are building as we live life, we will never be equipped to face grief, loss, and how we navigate those things post the grief and loss. Families are disrupted when someone dies. Particularly if it's a strong person in that family, we lose how we were connected somehow. You hear many stories that since the loss of my mom, I don't know how many minutes I have, I can no longer connect with my father or my brother. But today I'm here to tell you, it's your factory settings. You are called and commissioned. It's your purpose to go and fix that. That's how you will get well. It's your factory settings. I've missed a few points, but before I close, I want you to remember one thing. The key things that will bring the change and really build a mentally wealthy generation is to build the wealth upon what you already have. We are no longer at the luxury of saying what we've lost. We can share about it in the context of how we want to move forward and what we want to see in the future. Which means we strategically think about the very words that we haphazardly put there so that we succumb to them. If, for example, I come to you and I say, you know, not having a mom, you feel so naked. And when you have a mom, you sink to that level of my conversation. Literally, you sink. From there, you'll be going, oh shame, how do those people without mothers, you'll be speaking to the level of the one who has lost someone. But in actual fact, if you come across someone like that, you need to be building them up, building the wealth and making them realize what they already have and they need to use. So building mental wealth that way. And we need to purposefully curate our thoughts. We are no longer at luxury of really allowing everything we hear deter how we navigate life. You know, we live in a world where we are constantly hearing women are killed, women are raped. And it's the truth of our life. It threatens life sometimes. But also it's a call to say, what do we do within the environment I live in, my family, my community? How do I teach my boy child, my girl child, to navigate life so we are raising a generation that's no longer like the generation we are living in? How how do we equip our girls and our boys amidst what is happening? I think it takes for us to take accountability and responsibility. We can no longer be mothers of sons who, when we see a girl is hurt, we don't go back a step and say, how were these boys parented? How are we parenting our own boys now? How are we becoming better community women? You don't even need to be a mother. You as a person in that community, what's your influence? How are you building wealth for yourself and future generation? Purposefully curate your thoughts. It's not a hashtag. It's an intention with action, with objectives that need to be met, which means it will change the status quo of how we currently live. Other people won't understand what you're doing, but it needs to be done because change has come. And the third one is beware of mind-altering substances. Now, we only think these substances will probably be alcohol, drugs. Substance is something tangible that affects you. When you touch acid, you know it has touched you. There's a wound. When words are spoken similarly, they'll bring life or death. What you listen to, what you really pour yourself out, alters the mind. It becomes the substance that has altered whether your purpose, your value, your principle, and how you navigate life. We have people that just think their lives are a victim. Oh my gosh, help me. We have those people amongst us in our families. How do we change that? Because if we don't, we'll end up being a family that speaks exactly the same language. We'll speak like them. We'll be victims before you know it. But we need to rise up. We need to realize that, like in a mine, there's work that is constantly being done. And sometimes it's hot, sometimes we are sweating. But it needs to be done because at the end of the day, that diamond, that gold, that treasure, which is the wealth in you, must come out. And the last thing is a mindset. I want you to know that a mindset controls you, but you can control your mind. Once your mind is set on something, it's easy for you to just go in that direction. But you can change that if you intentionally curate what you do, how you do it, why you do it, what are your values and principles, which is found in the essence of wealth. Emotions are not just feelings. They are the intentions of your heart linked to your values, purposes, and integrity. Even more so, what you believe about God and yourself. And that is why we end up saying, we don't walk according to our feelings. Yes, they're important in mental health, but there's a deeper virtue, which is your emotions and your intentions. But why would you do that? Why would you lash out? Do you want to lash out? What are the values and principles you stand by that you want them to spearhead your life? Whether you're in church, whether you're in corporate, whether you are ever. Those are the driving forces. That's the wealth you come with, that God gave you a measure and you must build on. It's up to you how you build, whether you listen to the ones that says, there are no good men, there are no good brothers. It's up to you. It's either we acknowledge the ones we have and we help the ones that are still struggling to become better. It's two things. Otherwise, you are sinking to a level which is beneath you already. Last one is renewing our minds. We hear this concept mostly in churches where, you need to read the Word of God and you'll be renewed by reading it. There's another scripture also that speaks about meditate upon this Word, right? Day and night. It's an idea that God is showing you how things work in this world. Whatever you meditate day and night about, it will produce in your life. But He tells you that if you meditate upon this particular book, this one, it will make you successful. He doesn't say, I will make you. Go read it. It says, it will make you. When you do it, it will make you successful and prosperous. Which means you need to be doing something for it to make you prosperous and fruitful. So when we're talking about change, it comes only in the doing. And that's how we become fruitful, and successful. This is how we are raising a mentally wealthy generation. So when we come to this conference and we say, be the change, we are saying there are things you know which are far better than you to sink to the level of what the world is already presenting. And you are called to action. When we be the change, we're not waiting for tomorrow to interact with our fathers, our mothers. We are doing a call now and saying these factory settings will be set. I'm going to be in a position to enable myself to get well in everything I do because I keep to the pattern of building wealth.